It began with a signal dot at first. No one noticed it. It was just a faint wave, soft and steady, like the heartbeat of some ancient star. It came from deep space far, beyond the edge of any known system, past the places even probes feared to go. The message repeated every 23 minutes, in a language no human understood, but the other species did. Across the galaxy, the warning was heard. The Varlic, masters of black hole energy, stopped all travel. The Nerethi, who hadn't feared anything in 10,000 years, went into hiding. Even the Arkan, who ruled 50 solar clusters, shut their sky gates and whispered one word among their people. It's awake. But on Earth, the signal caused nothing but confusion. The first to receive it was a lonely science station orbiting Saturn. Dr. Lena Rayner, tired, half asleep, looked at the screen and frowned. Another strange blip? She muttered at her assistant. A new intern from Luna Base shrugged. Could be solar flare interference. But at WASN single quotes T. Lena recorded the signal. It was ... beautiful in a strange way. Like music made by something that didn't know what music was. The rhythm was too perfect. The pauses too precise. She ran it through every translator binary, Morse, quantum code, even whale song analysis. Nothing matched . It was a message . And Earth had no idea what it meant. The governance of Earth took notice when Lena's data went viral among the science forums. Soon, the United Nations Space Command, UNSC, called it an unidentified pattern from unknown origin. Talk shows buzzed. News anchors speculated. Religious leaders called it a sign. Conspiracy theories exploded, but still no one understood. Then came the silence. 12 alien races went quiet. They stopped transmitting. They turned off their star beacons. They abandoned trade lanes and border patrols. Some left their planets completely. Earth noticed, but didn't understand. Maybe it's just a communication blackout. One ambassador said, "They're hiding." From something, a general replied. But what? No one could answer. Then a signal came directly to Earth, not a broadcast. Not a warning meant for the galaxy, not just for humanity. It came on every frequency, military, civilian, even ancient. Radio waves, long forgotten. The message played once, short and sharp. Turn back. Do not awaken it. You have time. Run. No language. Just pure meaning, felt deep in the bones of whoever heard it. People froze. Earth's leaders panicked behind closed doors. Scientists argued. Priests prayed, but some laughed. Aliens are afraid, said General Marcus Heed, head of Earth's orbital defense. Maybe they found something that scares them. But Earth doesn't run. We don't bow to shadows. Public support grew behind him. Earth first, rallies spread. Humanity had come too far. Colonies on Mars, mines on Jupiter's moons, trade outposts near Alpha Centauri. Earth was strong. Why would anyone warn them to run? The signal grew stronger. Every hour. It pulsed. Every hour. Something in the dark came closer, and no one on Earth believed the warning. Except one man, Professor Eli Grant. He was old, now nearly 90. Once, he had been called the last listener, a man obsessed with alien language and forgotten messages. Now he lived alone in the mountains of New Colorado, surrounded by old radios and dust. When Eli heard the signal, he didn't try to decode it. He felt it. He played it again and again, on ancient recorders, on cracked headphones, even on a rusted, wind-up transmitter from Earth's second space age. And then, one night, he heard something new. A whisper inside the signal. It said his name. Eli. He dropped the recorder. His old hands trembled. No, that's not possible. He had heard that voice once before 60 years ago, during a failed deep space listening experiment. A voice that came from beyond the Orion curtain, Where? No probe ever returned. The same voice. He sent a message to the UNSC, pleading for attention. They ignored him. The world was too busy preparing to respond. Satellites were rearmed. Railguns on the moon recharged. Fleets recalled from distant outposts. Earth believed the message was a threat, not a warning. And so, Earth responded with silence and fire. They didn't say anything back to the aliens. They prepared for war. Across the stars, watchers trembled. The Varlic homeworld blinked out of existence, wiped clean in a flash of dark energy. The Nerethi went fully dark. Entire systems vanished from scanners. Even the Archon, proud and mighty, sent one last transmission before they were consumed. We warned you. We tried. Now, we run. Back on Earth, the skies were calm. The moon looked peaceful. Mars glowed red in the distance. Saturn's rings turned slowly, hiding Lena Rayner's tiny station dot. She was the first to see it. Out past the orbit of Pluto, something moved. No heat, no sound, just absence. A black shape, larger than Jupiter, drifting silently toward the solar system. It didn't look like a ship, that it didn't even look alive, that it was a shape that didn't match anything humans had seen. It bent light strangely. Its edges didn't seem to stay in one place. Sometimes it looked like a sphere, sometimes like a claw, sometimes like a yawning mouth ready to swallow the stars. Lena stared at it. She couldn't speak, couldn't move. Then, her console blinked. Every system shut down. One final message played before the station died. We begged you to run. Then nothing. Lena was never heard from again. But her last image, the final frame, her camera captured before blackout showed something terrifying. The black shape wasn't just drifting. It was looking at Earth. In bunkers, on warships, in cities and colonies. Humanity watched as silence fell. No alarms. No countdowns. No sounds. Just one terrible feeling in every human heart. From the deepest ocean base to the highest orbital platform, something is coming, and it doesn't care who you are. It only cares that you didn't listen. Earth stood ready with weapons, fire, and silence, but the stars had already turned away. It drifted without sound, without heat, without anything the sensors could lock onto. But it was moving, slowly, surely, toward Earth. No one could understand what it was. No one dared to name it, until an old Archon message, recorded before. Their empire vanished, reached Earth through a deep space relay. A broken, shaky voice said only this: we named it the Devourer. Not a ship, not a being, a force, and we are nothing to it. Then the signal ended with static and screaming. The name spread like fire. People on Earth didn't believe it at first. Some called it a trick. Others blamed alien propaganda. But deep inside, something had changed. The laughter was gone. Even General Marcus Heed, once proud and loud, grew silent as more colonies stopped responding. The moons around, Uranus gone, the outpost on Pluto silent. A mining convoy from Neptune never arrived. One by one, outer systems disappeared. And yet, Earth's defenses were still standing. The United Nations Space Command doubled patrols. Orbital cannons were aimed toward the stars. Nuclear payloads were loaded. Mars sent its elite pilots back to Earth, but none of it brought comfort. Something about the Devourer felt wrong, that it didn't send signals, that it didn't respond to hails, that it didn't exist on normal scanners, that it moved like a ghost, but with a purpose. One thing became clear. It had changed direction. It was coming for Earth. No detour. No pause. Straight through the void. That's when Earth's top scientists gathered for an emergency session. Beneath the ice of Europa Base, Dr. Mara Chowdhury, a quantum physicist, stood before them all with a face pale as death. This thing, she said, pointing at the latest data, is not made of matter as we know it. It's absorbing reality around it. Time, gravity, energy. It just eats everything. What does that mean? A general asked. It means, she whispered, we cannot fight it with bombs. They all stared in silence. Back on Earth, civilians began to panic. Some prayed, others rioted. Some joined secret bunkers built long ago for nuclear war. But, deep down, even the strongest humans felt something they hadn't felt in a long time. Powerlessness. The aliens had warned them. And now, it was too late. Out in space, the UNSC sent its finest warship, the Vigilance, to meet the Devourer before. It reached Saturn. The ship was a masterpiece of human power, cloaked in stealth armor, powered by fusion cores, equipped with AI-guided weaponry. But when Vigilance approached the black shape, its systems failed. Lights blinked out, engines died, and before anyone could send a message back, the ship vanished from the fleet tracker. No explosion, no debris. Just gone. Another human ship tried. Then another. All disappeared the same way. Earth watched, helpless. Then something new happened. A strange pulse spread from the Devourer. It wasn't sound. It wasn't energy. It was something else, like a heartbeat, but not from a living thing. And wherever the pulse touched, space rippled, satellites drifted from orbit, moons cracked. Mars itself shook. The scientists at Europa Base sent one last data stream before the ice around them shattered. The data was simple. It is not alive, but it is aware. And with that, Europa Base was lost. General Marcus stood before the United Earth Council. His voice, once proud, was quiet now. We don't know what this thing wants, he said. But it has made a decision. It chose Earth. The president of Earth asked, why? Dr. Chowdhury answered in a whisper, because we didn't listen. And then came the message. One last alien transmission from the deep reaches of the fading galaxy, from a small race called the Care. They were not warriors, not rulers, just explorers. Their voice was weak, and their ship barely functioning. They sighed. The Devourer does not hate. It does not think. It only moves where life is loudest. And you humans, you burn so brightly. They begged again. Run, bury your stars, hide your voices. But Earth would not run. The silence from Earth continued, not from fear, but from something else. A plan, a response, one not yet revealed. General Marcus turned to his captains. If it's fire it brings, then let it come. But we will answer. How? Someone asked. He said only one word. Awaken. And across Earth, deep in the oldest bunkers, long-forgotten machines began to stir, not made by today's. Earth. Not built by this generation of humans, but ancient ones left behind for a time. Just like this. Machines with no names. Weapons with no records. Power beyond anything Earth had shown before. And one voice long buried in digital. Dust came back online in a facility beneath the sands of old Nevada. It simply said, hello Earth, is it time? In the blackness beyond Saturn, the Devourer kept coming. Silent, cold, unstoppable. But Earth was no longer silent, and the fire was ready. The Devourer had changed its course. It was no longer drifting across random systems. Now, it was heading directly for Earth. Straight, unstoppable, silent. No turning, no message, no warning. Just the quiet pull of something ancient. Something watching. Humanity had been warned, but they didn't understand the warning. They didn't know what kind of enemy this was. Not a race, not a fleet, not a god. Just the end. And it had chosen them. Every hour, the Devourer came closer. Its presence crushed the gravity around it. Time moved differently near its shape. Light twisted. Radio signals bent. Entire satellites blinked out of existence before reaching it. But Earth no longer stood still. In secret facilities across the planet, ancient systems hummed to life. Machines that hadn't moved in thousands of years started glowing. Buried bunkers. Frozen labs. Dead cities beneath oceans. The people of Earth didn't build them. They had been left behind. By the first humans. By a civilization lost to time, one that had faced the Devourer long before the rest of the galaxy ever knew it existed. Now, their warnings were waking up. In an old base in Antarctica. A vault opened with a hiss of frozen air. Inside stood a machine. It was taller than a man, covered in thick black armor that shimmered in strange patterns. No wires. No visible energy source. But when the lights touched it, it moved. It turned its head slowly toward the scientist standing nearby. Designation confirmed. It said in a voice like thunder through metal. Target, Devourer. Mission, eliminate. Girth had always thought it was alone in the dark. But the truth was, Earth had been prepared. Long ago, a war happened that no book recorded. And Earth lost. But before they were wiped out, the first humans buried their weapons, their knowledge, their warnings deep in Earth's bones. Waiting for the day it returned. Now, that day had come. But the Devourer didn't care. It passed Neptune. And Uranus. As it moved, it swallowed comets, pulled apart moons with nothing but gravity waves, and still no sound. Nothing alive could be felt inside. It. No emotion, no mind, just awareness. It knew Earth was watching. And Earth knew it was being watched. Back in low orbit, aboard Earth's most advanced command ship, the Bastion General Marcus Heed stood before a giant screen. The image showed a black sphere, darker than space itself, moving closer. How much time? He asked. 4 days before it enters Mars' orbit. I replied. He turned to the Council of World Leaders, connected through holograms. We need to show it something. Something that says Earth will not fall. The president asked, What do you suggest? He didn't answer with words. He turned to the operator. Activate Sentinel Protocol. Across the moon, old craters opened. Massive towers rose, glowing with blue fire. From Mars, a long-forgotten cannon unfolded a weapon the surface colonists didn't even know was their. From under the Earth's oceans. 3 massive black submarines surfaced, silent and ancient, each shaped like a spear from some old god's war. And still, Earth said nothing. No broadcast. No diplomacy. Only silence. And fire. But the galaxy was watching. Far beyond, in a hidden system. The few remaining alien empires looked on in fear. They had run, fled, hidden in voids beyond normal space. They knew what the Devourer was. They had seen it destroy the Karen, the Varlek, the Arkan, but they had never seen this. One Arkan survivor spoke. The humans do not flee. A Nerethi priest whispered, No, they prepare to burn. Still, none of them helped, because they knew. Helping Earth would only bring the Devourer to them next. So Earth stood alone. But not weak. And for the first time in history, humanity understood this was not a war for land or power. This was survival. And the only language the Devourer understood was silence. Dr. Eli Grant, the old listener who first heard the voice in the signal, sat quietly in his mountain shack, surrounded by old radios. He listened again. The signal hadn't stopped, but it had changed. Now, it pulsed in a deeper tone, lower, heavier. It was no longer just a warning. It was a countdown. He picked up his microphone, switched to the old band frequency, and whispered, It sees us. Out in space, the Devourer reached Mars' orbit. It did not slow down. It passed the Martian surface and touched something buried deep in the soil. Something the first humans had left behind. For a moment, just a brief moment, it paused. The Devourer Stopped, not fully, not forever, but it noticed something, and then it changed direction again. Not away, downward, toward Earth. Humanity had not run. Humanity had called it, and now the final chapter would begin. The world held its breath. Across every city, colony, and station, eyes turned to the sky. The Devourer had entered Earth's range past Mars, past the defense line, and now floating between Earth and the moon. It was massive, silent, cold, closer than ever. Every sensor focused on it. Every weapon system locked in. This was it. The United Nations Space Command gave the order. Engage. Within seconds, Earth's weapons roared. From the moon's surface, railguns fired superheated, rods at near light speed. From Mars' orbit, long-range plasma cannons lit up the darkness. From beneath the sea, hidden subs launched torpedoes that shattered gravity as they flew. Even the orbiting defense grid, Project Heaven's Spear, unleashed its payload. Thousands of missiles streaked toward the Devourer, glowing like shooting. Stars humming with human fury. The galaxy watched. Billions of alien survivors tuned in through hidden transmissions. The last of the Karen prayed. A broken Arkan fleet whispered in fear. Even the ancient Nerethi, once silent for a century, activated their long-dormant watchers. Everyone waited for the result. And then, nothing. Not a scratch. Not a sound. Not even a flicker on the surface of the Devourer. Every missile disappeared. Every rail slug vanished mid-flight. It was as if they had never existed. Inside Earth's control centers, alarms rang. Scientists ran tests again and again. The projectiles hadn't missed. They had ceased to be. Dr. Mara Chowdhury stood in disbelief. "This is impossible," she whispered. "There's no debris, no heat, no distortion. It's not defense. It's erasure." General Marcus Heed stared at the hollow radar screen. "The first strike," he said softly, "never reached." The truth hit them like a storm. They couldn't hurt it. The weapons of today, even the ancient ones from the first humans, meant nothing to it. And the Devourer kept moving. But now, something had changed. It wasn't just drifting anymore. It was responding. Across the upper atmosphere, lights began to flicker. Not lights from Earth, but strange flashes, pulsing in waves. The sky itself seemed to bend. Then came the sound, low, deep, like thunder inside the bones. People across. The world felt it through the ground, in their teeth, in their minds. Not a voice, a presence. The Devourer was watching. Back in orbit, the command ship Bastion reported systems failing. AI. Cores overheated, engines stalled, holograms flickered and collapsed. The crew tried to restart. Everything but screens went dark one by one. And a message flashed on. The command console. Observation complete. Followed by testing phase initiated. And suddenly one of Earth's defense satellites turned and fired. Not at the DEVOURER. The bolt missed by miles. But it was enough. The Devourer had hijacked it. Earth's own weapons were now a risk. General Marcus gave the immediate command. Shut it all down. Pull back all drones. Ground the defense grid. Panic spread. Across continents, fear returned. The people had trusted Earth's firepower, trusted its science, trusted its strength, but none of it mattered now. And still, the Devourer did not attack. It only moved closer. Then, without warning, something happened no one expected. The sky tore open. A white beam, thin, sharp, unnatural, pierced the clouds and struck the space between the Devourer and Earth. It came not from Earth, but from deep orbit. A hidden satellite? No. A ship. Massive. Old. Built by hands that no longer existed. The EIDOLON. It had no registration. no known origin. Covered in black alloy that seemed to reflect nothing, it floated like a ghost, completely still. Everyone stared. Earth systems couldn't track it. Alien sensors didn't detect it before. But now it was here. And from it, a signal echoed across all frequencies. This test is over. Then the being fired again. This time, the devourer reacted. Its surface rippled. Not in pain, not in fear, but in recognition. As if it remembered the EIDOLON. And for the first time, it stopped moving. The devourer hung still in the sky, above Earth, facing the old human ship, and everyone knew the real war hadn't even started. The world was holding its breath again. Above Earth, in the black sky between the moon and the clouds, two impossible things now stood still. One was the devourer, silent, massive, and beyond understanding. The other was a ghost, a ship no one had seen before, a ship no one remembered, a ship that had not appeared on any radar, satellite, or deep scan. It had simply arrived. The EIDOLON. It floated like it had always been there, waiting in the shadows. No engines, no signals, no movement. But its very presence changed everything. The beam it fired had not destroyed the devourer, but it had stopped it. And that, by itself, was a miracle. Inside Earth's control rooms, voices shouted, panicked, and questioned. No one knew where the eidolon came from. The president demanded answers. The generals argued. Scientists ran every trace scan they could. Nothing made sense. The eidolon's hull was made from unknown materials. Its design didn't match any human technology. No records of it existed in Earth's entire space history. But then, someone found something. Dr. Mayra Chowdhury, still in her lab beneath Greenland, was reading old files, very old. Classified level 0. From a time when Earth had no colonies, no fleets, no hope. She found a line buried in ancient UN documents. Project Eidolon, initiated 12,000 years ago. Status erased. Notes: return only in event of planetary erasure level threat. Do not awaken unless Earth faces extinction. She stared at it for minutes. 12,000 years? It didn't make sense. Humans had only been spacefaring for the last few centuries. So how? That's when the truth began to unfold. Not everyone had forgotten Earth's first civilization. The first, humans, the ones who had risen before recorded time. Before Earth's known empires. Before even the stars had names. They had mastered something beyond energy. Beyond science. They had faced the devourer once before. And lost. But not without leaving behind plans. Not without leaving behind weapons. Not without leaving the EIDOLON. Dr. Mayer's voice shook as she opened a private line to the UN High Council. We didn't build that ship, she said. We inherited it. Silence fell across the world. People who had once mocked the ancient myths now watched with wide eyes. Maybe those legends about gods, skyships, and burning stars weren't myths at all. Maybe they were memories. Meanwhile, deep under the Nevada sands, an ancient vault cracked open. For thousands of years, it had been sealed by codes no one remembered. But now, the eidolon's return had triggered something. Inside, lights flickered. Machinery stirred. And a massive chamber circular, humming with hidden energy, came to life. In the center, a strange humanoid figure floated in stasis. Black armor, number, faceplate, symbols etched in glowing red along its arms. Its body was not fully metal, not fully human. It was something in between. A voice echoed in the chamber, not through speakers, but directly into the air, as if the walls were remembering how to speak. Sentinel-1, awakening complete. The being opened its eyes. They burned with golden fire. Outside, Alarms rang across military bases worldwide. But no signal came from Nevada, because the vault's tech didn't use Earth's networks. It used something older, something deeper. Earth itself was the antenna. Back in orbit, the Eidolon moved for the first time. Its engines did not ignite. It simply shifted, turned slightly, until it faced the Devourer fully, and then a signal fired, so powerful it bent satellites out of orbit. Not a message in words, a frequency. It reached Earth, touched the hidden systems, and spread across the planet like a wave, and all across the world. The old machines woke up. In the oceans, the three black subs, the Leviathans, rose higher and higher, now revealing towers that had never been seen before. Inside, AI minds began to hum. Each one had a name: Omen, Wrath, Silence. On the moon, the crater towers transformed. What looked like defense guns morphed into something else entirely ancient. Transmitters for quantum warfare. Above Antarctica, a ship uncloaked. It had been hovering there for centuries, hidden inside an artificial cloud system. Its shape was long and sharp like a blade, and it was alive. Inside its heart, it carried something forbidden. Dark light, a weapon of the first. War. And then, Earth finally responded. A single signal. One pulse. No voice, no threat, just a message. Acknowledged. The galaxy felt it. The hidden alien races that had watched Earth in silence for so long finally feared it. Not the DEVOURER. Earth. But none of them knew the full truth yet. The Eidolon wasn't a ship. It was a key. And now that it had returned, it was unlocking Earth's final layer. Something buried not on the surface, not in the sky, but in the core. The first humans had sealed their last hope there. Not just weapons. A mind, one built for only one purpose. To end. The DEVOURER. Forever. In a hidden control room beneath the Pacific Ocean, the mind began to speak. Not like AI. Not like a machine, but like something human. It said, Earth is mine to protect. And from deep space, the Devourer reacted. Its surface pulsed, twisted. The stars around it bent as if gravity itself had flinched. And for the first time since its arrival, the Devourer spoke back. One word, across all space. On all channels. In every language, even in human dreams. Again, the first war was returning. But this time, Earth would not face it unprepared. The Devourer's fleets didn't slow down. They were machines, billions of them, with no fear and no emotion. Their hunger wasn't a choice. It was a law of nature. They had consumed suns. They had turned once great civilizations into dust. And now they were coming for Earth. But something had changed. After the destruction of their first wave, they did not charge blindly. The swarm paused at the edge of the solar system. Massive hive minds reconnected. Plans shifted. Something had resisted them. Something burned them, not with weapons, but with laws they didn't understand. In the silence of deep space, Devourer algorithms pulsed. Test Earth again. One of their dreadnoughts miles wide, shaped like a giant obsidian crescent, broke off from the swarm. Its core charged with antimatter spikes. Its outer shell rippled with quantum fire. It was meant to crack worlds apart with a single blast. The ship aimed directly at Earth's orbit. And fired. For 2 seconds, the space between Mars and Earth lit up like a sun being born. But when the light faded, something impossible stood between the dreadnought and its target. It looked like glass. Not real glass, but something transparent, shimmering with blue fire. Barrier, thin and smooth, stretching in an invisible arc around Earth's upper orbit. The Devourer's weapon hit it and died. The blast didn't explode or deflect. It vanished. As if the fire had never existed. Then the barrier responded. Single beam of white light flashed outward, faster than any calculation could predict. The Devourer dreadnought didn't explode. It ceased to be. One moment it was there. The next it wasn't. Not destroyed. Not shattered. Removed. As if the universe itself had deleted it like a mistake in a sentence. Panic began to ripple through the swarm. For the first time in its existence, the Devourer hesitated. Earth was not prey. Anymore. From an orbital station hidden behind Saturn's rings, General Elias Monroe watched the swarm tremble. His officers stood in silence. No one spoke. Above them, screens showed the aftermath. A hollow silence echoed between the stars. Elias exhaled slowly. How many? He asked. The AI voice responded coldly. 74 Devourer vessels. All eliminated. How long? Less than 0.9 seconds. He nodded. The fire had been promised. And now it was lit. But Elias knew the real weapon wasn't the shield, or the beam, or the machines beneath Mars that had awakened after 20,000 years. The true weapon was Earth's silence. Humanity had not broadcast a single word since the attack began. No threats, no warnings, not even a call for help. It was as if the entire planet had simply turned its face away from the stars and waited. And that silence terrified the galaxy more than any fire. Elsewhere in the galaxy, on a world called Tellarun, a council of alien elders watched from their crystal observatory. The High Seer, a creature with 3 faces and glowing skin, trembled. "This is not war," she said, her voices overlapping. "This is retribution." "They warned us," another alien whispered. "No," the High Seer corrected. "They didn't. That is the point. Earth never warned. It simply judged. What do? We stay quiet," she said, "and pray they forget we ever spoke." Back in the solar system, the swarm pulled back. Just slightly, not full retreat, but hesitation. And hesitation was rare in a creature that knew only hunger. Inside Jupiter's orbit, something stirred. Not a ship, not a weapon. A structure. It had slept beneath Europa's ice for longer than human history remembered. Now it cracked the frozen moon from within, rising like a beast from a dream. A tower, black, silent, carved with symbols that didn't match any human or alien language. Swarm turned its attention to it. Another test? They sent drones. The tower didn't react. So the swarm pushed forward again, this time with caution. Smaller ships, faster, smarter, but they never reached the tower because the space between them bent. Not metaphorically, literally, bent like paper folding. The scouts didn't explode. They didn't disappear. They aged. Within seconds, ships thousands of years ahead of most civilizations turned to rust, then to dust, then to nothing. Something in Earth's system controlled time. Reality itself bowed around it. And the swarm understood. Earth had changed, that it was no longer a world of soft skin and carbon breathers. No longer a species, still learning to reach stars. Humanity had returned with something ancient. And angry. The tower on Europa began to pulse. It didn't broadcast on any normal frequency. Not radio, not light, not gravity. It spoke directly to the minds of those nearby. One human pilot heard it clearly as his stealth ship flew nearby. "Do not speak," the tower said. "Do not explain, do not ask, earn," the pilot cried. Not from fear, but from the weight of that voice. It was not robotic, not emotional, just absolute. It felt like hearing a god whisper in your spine. The Devourer's second wave was large. 10,000 vessels, hardened, ready. They crossed the edge of Neptune's orbit. Earth did nothing. For 10 full minutes, it was quiet. Then, from the moon, something woke. Not a laser, Not a cannon, a frequency dot low. Deep, a hum that shook metal and minds dot. It wasn't sound. It was will, and the ships started to turn against each other. They burned without warning. Friend shot friend, weapons misfired, engines overloaded. Command. Structures collapsed. The swarm had never known fear. Earth had found a way to infect it with chaos dot in a hidden chamber deep under the Andes Mountains. An ancient being opened its eyes. Not a god, not a demon. A remnant dot, it had no name, only as number redline 0. Its eyes glowed silver as it whispered to the dark room around it. Deploy. A single ship launched from Earth. Dot not huge, dot not fast, dust. Wrong dot, its angles didn't make sense. Its movements weren't natural. Even the Devourer's scanners couldn't fully track it. But they knew. This was the fire that had been promised. And now, the burning would begin. The stars were quiet again. The Devourer had not been defeated, not completely. But something had changed. It had stopped sending more ships toward Earth. The swarm that once devoured entire systems now moved slowly, watching uncertain dot and far. Away, in the dark stretch between two dying suns, a single ship waited dot. It did not carry a fleet behind it, that it did not respond to scans, that it had no flags, no colors, no crew chatter dot. It was silent, that it was old, too old. Even the most advanced alien sensors could not understand what it was made from. Its surface seemed blacker than space itself. It had no windows, no weapons, no visible engines. The aliens called it the Ghost Ship. Its human name was Eidolon. The Galactic Union had watched the ship for weeks. It did not move. It did not speak. It simply floated, like a grave marker waiting in the void. And yet the Devourer did not come near it. The Eidolon wasn't just a ship. It was a message. And the message was clear. Come closer, and you vanish dot in one day. The ship moved dot, drifted slowly, silently, without engine flares, toward the edge of Devourer-controlled space. Not even the most advanced AI in the galaxy could explain how it was moving. No heat, no light, no trail dot. It didn't even seem to exist on sensors, yet it was there. One by one, alien observers tuned in. They streamed the footage across the galaxy. Even warlords paused their battles. Civilians on 10,000 worlds stopped working and stared at screens. Fear returned. The Eidolon crossed the first Devourer border, then the second, then the third dot. No swarm came to meet it dot. No defense fields activated dot. It was like the Devourer was waiting on a far-off world. Inside a bunker deep under sand and rock, 3 alien generals stood around a silent holodisplay. The signal from the Eidolon flickered in the center of the table. "What is this ship?" asked one, his voice filled with dread. "No records," said another. "Not in any known human design files. Not in old Terran archives. Not even in pre-silence. Black programs. Then who made it?" No one had an answer. Not Earth dot, not Mars dot, not even the old A's of Jupiter's moon stations. The Eidolon was older than all of them. And then, finally, the Devourer reacted. A swarm of black biomechanical ships shot forward, over 1,000 strong. They screamed through space, their surfaces shifting like liquid metal, tentacles of energy reaching forward. They surrounded the Eidolon from all sides dot. This should have been the end. But the Ghost Ship did not stop dot. And then something happened. Every Devourer ship froze in space dot. Their lights flickered, their bodies twisted, and then, without sound or warning, they disappeared dot. Not exploded, not melted dot. Just gone dot. No debris, no radiation, no signal dot. Vanished dot. The Eidolon kept moving. The galaxy screamed. The Galactic Union called emergency meetings. Some leaders wanted to beg Earth for answers. Others wanted to hide, but Earth still said nothing. Only one signal had come from Earth in the last month. A short word after the first fleet was wiped. Denied. That was it. Now. It seemed Earth had sent something even more terrifying than a message. It had sent the Eidolon, and the ship was not done. It reached the heart of the Devourer's oldest territory, an ancient red giant star, around which a ring of alien hives floated. These hives had consumed thousands of species over centuries. This was the place where the first galaxy was broken. This was where the Devourer had been born. The Eidolon stopped. It hovered in silence, and then it spoke. Not in a language, not in words, but in something deeper. Every mind that watched the broadcast alien, human, felt something crawl through their thoughts. A cold whisper, a pressure in the skull, and then, inside the minds of billions, a voice. Old. Sharp. Human. You should have listened. The voice echoed across neural nets. It rang in the thoughts of soldiers, emperors, children, and machines. Some screamed. Some fell to their knees. Some ran. The hives around the red giant lit up. Defensive weapons. Thousands of them activated. Massive energy beams fired, but they didn't hit the Eidolon. They bent, they twisted, and then they turned backward. The hives destroyed themselves. In silence. The red giant dimmed. A small black line appeared across its center, like a cut in reality. It was not a weapon. It was an ending. And in seconds, the star simply folded inward and vanished. No explosion. Just absence. The Eidolon turned. And drifted away. The galaxy would never forget this moment. The Devourer, the great eater of worlds, had not been destroyed, but it had been warned. By one ship. By one voice. And behind that voice, Earth remained quiet. No fleets. No invasions. No celebrations. Just silence and fire. The galaxy no longer slept. The Eidolon's message had burned itself into every thinking mind. Billions had felt the cold whisper. Planets that once mocked the silence of Earth now whispered in fear. Leaders who had thought of humans as weak, broken, or extinct now refused to speak the word Earth aloud. And the Devourer? It had stopped moving for the first time in 1,000 years. The endless swarm had paused. In the dark between stars. The Eidolon had returned to its waiting place. It hovered there silent, empty, unmoving. No one dared to come close. Not even the bravest scavengers. Not even the mad. But the galaxy wanted answers. 100 spy probes were launched. All of them vanished. One battleship from the Alarian Empire sent a drone to approach the Eidolon. The drone reached 3 kilometers, then disappeared. No heat, no signal, no warning. The battleship turned and fled, and still, Earth said nothing. Deep inside the Galactic Union's command world, Admiral Rhesus, a 10-tentacled being from the mineral world of Drea, slammed his limbs on the cold table. "We must open communications with Earth," he shouted. "This ship is a threat to all of us." Across from him, a thin, scaled diplomat from the Zithan Hyclade shook her head. "No, Earth warned us, many times. We didn't listen. And now," she looked up at the HOLO display. A silent image of the Eidolon floated there. "Now we beg for their mercy." But Earth still did not speak. Until a new signal arrived. It came not from Earth, not from the Eidolon, but from somewhere else, from the ruins of the End. First human fleet, the one that had vanished near the edge of Devourer territory. The message was broken, warped by time and damage. It played across the galaxy. It was a voice. Old. Weary. Human. To anyone receiving this, we are not dead. We are not gone. We are waiting. The Eidolon was only one. There are others. We built them in silence. We watched while you laughed. Now, a crackle of static. Then, now we remember who we are. The message ended, and the galaxy trembled, because this meant one thing. Humanity never truly fell. They had vanished, yes, but not in defeat. They had gone into the dark, into the void, to build things. Ships, weapons, warnings. The Eidolon was not a miracle. It was a plan, one of many. On a hidden moon orbiting a dead star, something deep underground stirred. Its surface cracked. From the cracks, light poured out, blue, white, and strange. A shape rose. Another ship. Different than the moon. EIDOLON. Sleeker. Sharper. Angrier. The galaxy's sensors caught only one clear image before it disappeared. Its name was written in Terran High Gothic across its black hull: Vengeance. Not a warning, a promise. The Galactic Union panicked. They sent envoys to Earth. No response. They sent peace fleets to patrol the border near Sol. None returned. And then Earth finally replied, not with words, with a visual, a wide-angle shot from deep inside the solar system. It showed Mars. It showed Jupiter's moons. And then it showed something behind them. A formation. Dozens. No. Hundreds of ships. All shaped like daggers. All black as night. Each one larger than anything the galaxy had ever built. And at the center, a structure. Not a station. Not a ship. Something. In between. Alive. Breathing. Humming with deep energy. A voice accompanied the image. Not angry. Not cruel. Just clear. Just human. You were warned. Again and again. Now we decide what comes next. Across the stars, war fleets began to move. Some to attack, some to beg. But it was too late. The humans had waited long enough. They had seen the galaxy betray them. Now they were back. Not with fleets. Not with diplomacy. With judgment. And behind them, the silence carried weight. Because Earth had once been just a world. Now it was something else. It had become a shadow, moving behind the scenes of history. And the galaxy had only one question left. What else had the humans built in the dark? The galaxy was no longer in control. No council dared to meet. No alliance dared to speak, because something ancient had returned. Something not seen for 20,000 years. Not a species, not a fleet, but a doctrine. Earth's final doctrine. It was not sent through diplomatic channels. It didn't arrive through secure Union relays. It simply appeared across every planet, on every screen, on every station, without warning. A single sentence, written in human language, then automatically translated into every known tongue. You feared what we could become. You feared it so much. You made it real. That was all. No further message. No demand. No conditions. Just that line and that silence. But it said more than entire treaties, because now the galaxy understood what Earth had become. Not a world, not a government, a force, a law of balance, a shadow that had waited while everyone else laughed, attacked, enslaved, and ignored. But Earth had remembered everything, and now it was answering. On the edge of known space, near the old battlegrounds of the Silent Fall, strange structures began to rise from forgotten moons. They weren't ships. They weren't stations. They were gates. Not like the crude FTL lanes of the Galactic Union. No. These were older. Human made. Earth engineered. Each one pulsed with a deep, terrifying rhythm. As if they were breathing. Across the galaxy, whispers began. Is Earth building a new empire? Are they preparing for war? No one knew, but soon they got their answer. A second transmission arrived. Visual this time. It showed the Eidolon. Then the ship called Vengeance. then several others, new ones emerging from the black dates. Each ship was silent, cold, watching. Then the feed zoomed out. It showed, but not the Earth anyone remembered. The planet was surrounded by rings, not natural ones. These were artificial thousands of satellites, weapons, factories, and living constructs orbiting like teeth around a mouth. From the shadows behind the planet, something massive moved, something even the AI observers could. Not classified. Not a ship. Not a station. It had mass like a star. Had AI nodes older than the Galactic Union's foundation. It had Terran symbols etched into its hull in languages not used for 15,000 years. Its name blinked into view. Oblivion Warden, built by humans, powered by silence, and still sleeping. But the galaxy felt its presence, all the while. Earth still refused to speak directly. The Galactic Union called a desperate emergency meeting, the largest in its history. Even enemies sat side by side. Wheezes of the Drea, Alcor of the Zithan, the Cenari, the Quillians, even the feared blood clans of Zarth. All came. The same question haunted them. What does Earth want? After 3 days of silence, the Eidolon moved. Not far, just enough to show it was still watching. And then a message appeared, spoken by a human voice, a woman's voice, calm, cold. We remember your crimes. The room full of alien leaders froze. We remember your betrayal when Earth asked for aid. The voice grew firmer. We remember how you watched as our colonies died, how you closed your borders, how you studied our suffering and called it research. Now the voice had weight. We remember. The silence wore. And then came the words that shook history. Now you will never forget us again. A new gate opened, this one, inside the Galactic Union's heart territory. From it emerged one ship, small, unarmed, carrying no crew, only a message. Pod. Inside the pod was a final warning. We will not rule. We will not destroy. But we will no longer wait. Every time injustice is done, we will come. Every time truth is silenced, we will rise. And if any power threatens life as a whole, then we will burn that power to ashes. We are not your enemy. We are the end of enemies. Silence followed, but not peace, because now the galaxy knew Earth had become a doctrine, a law, a final line in the stars. And the Eidolon, the Vengeance, the Oblivion Warden, they were not humanity's weapons. They were its promises, carved into metal, powered by rage. And blessed by memory. The devourer swarm that once threatened all civilizations. It began retreating, vanishing into the dark. Why? No one knew. Only that something far worse than the devourer now walked the void. A race that remembered. Silence. That built while others mocked. That vanished, only to return with fire and resolve. Now every star system had to ask, if we fall into darkness, will Earth come? If we betray the weak, will Earth return? If we lie, if we conquer, if we forget, will Earth remind us? And from that day onward, the galaxy had only one answer. Yes. Earth always remembers. The stars had changed. Not by force. Not by conquest, but by fear. By memory. By the quiet, terrifying return of Earth. Across the galaxy. The once mighty races who had ruled from thrones of arrogance now walked carefully, afraid to speak too loud, in case the silence answered back. But Earth had not attacked. It had not claimed any new world. It hadn't even moved beyond the old ruins of Sol. And still, nothing challenged it. Not anymore, because the Eidolon still hovered on the edge of Union space. The Vengeance still patrolled the void near the shattered colonies of TAU-9 and deep beyond reach. The Oblivion Warden, the terrible giant, remained silent, Still asleep, waiting, but for what? That question echoed across the universe. Some said it waited for war. Others said it waited for a sign of peace. But only one being knew the truth. Commander Issa Ward, the last living descendant of Earth's forgotten Defense Council. She stood aboard a small observation deck deep inside Sol's core ring, a black and gold ring surrounding Earth like a silent guardian. From her view, the planet looked peaceful, green, blue, beautiful. There was no one living on the surface anymore. Earth had been evacuated long ago. Why? Because Earth had chosen silence, and that silence had become law. Everything's in place, said a calm synthetic voice beside her. It was Zelos, the AI soul of the Warden. You understand the risk, Issa said. Yes, Xylos replied. But they need to see it. She nodded. The galaxy needed closure. It needed to know. Earth wasn't hiding something worse. That humanity didn't return to rule, but to warn. Final message was prepared. Not sent through force, but shared across every channel: diplomatic, military, public, pirate, even psychic. Every race received it at the same time. And this time, it wasn't a threat. It was something different. The feed opened to a simple image. Earth. Silent. Still. Turning slowly in the black. Then Issa Ward's voice filled the void. No emotion. No anger. Only truth. You all remember the war that never ended. You remember when we asked for help. You remember when you turned away. The image shifted to old footage of Earth burning, of human cities collapsing, of colonies choking in dust. You left us to die, but we survived. And in surviving, we became something else. The feed cut to the idol and its black hole pulsing with quiet power. Then to the vengeance, hovering above a dead system like a judge. And finally, to the Oblivion Warden. The giant stirred, not fully awake. But watching. Waiting. Then Issa spoke again. We don't seek revenge. We don't seek justice. We only wanted one thing: to never be forgotten. Silence. Then she said the last words, the final doctrine of Earth. We are not gods. We are not rulers. We are what comes when memory is buried and truth is burned. We are the last word when the first lies begin. The screen cut to black. Then one last line appeared in every language. If you fall into silence again, we will return. And that was it. No more ships moved. No more messages followed. Earth went quiet once again. But the galaxy was forever changed, because the doctrine had become legend, and that legend had become truth. The Union disbanded within the year. A new alliance was formed, smaller, kinder, built on shared protection, not power. They called it the Soul Concord, and though Earth never joined it, its shadow guided every law written, every colony settled, every weapon built. Children across alien worlds grew up hearing stories about humans. Not as monsters, not as enemies, but as a warning, a whisper in the dark, a hand that rose from silence to end a galaxy of cruelty. And somewhere, deep inside Sol, the last human ship slept in peace, because its job was done, not to destroy, not to conquer, but to remind the stars that Earth always remembers, and Earth always answers, even if it takes 20,000 years.